All right, so I've got noon on my watch here, so we're going to go ahead and get rolling with our presentation for today. So if you are here live, hi, welcome. We may have a couple of others join us as well, but I know a lot of you could not make it live here, and we're going to be watching the recording. So hi, if you are taking some time now to watch the recording a little bit later. So today we are talking about my 5 steps to balanced weight loss so that you can actually lose weight without coming back on your habits. You can do this pretty quickly so that you can regain that confidence that you've been looking for, regain some of that energy, and finally meet the goals that you were looking to gain. Now, I will mention that I woke up with a little bit of a sore throat, so hopefully my throat will hold out for this. But I got my tea, I got my cough drops, we should be okay. All right, so if you are a woman who has been having a really hard time losing weight, maybe you've been trying everything, you've been at the gym, you've been eating lots of salads and feeling like you're doing everything right, but you're just really not seeing anything happening on the scale, you are in the right place. So there's a lot of other things that we're going to talk about today that really do play into how consistent you can be with your weight loss efforts so that you can see that continued success. All right. Now, a lot of the ladies that I work with have a ton of obligations. You know, they've got young kids, some older kids, some are retired and taking care of aging parents and things like that. But life is busy, and so the obligation list often pulls away from your ability to focus on you. And especially as women, I think we are especially prone to this. Where we tend to put others before ourselves a lot of the time. And if you're searching the internet, if you've been on Facebook or Instagram or anything lately, you've probably seen tons of ads for, oh, the next best thing that's going to work. And at the end of the day, it's something that is involving supplements and weird dieting and exercise methods and all these things that just don't feel sustainable. And if you're tired of seeing that and feeling like you can be hopeful about something like that, but it's not working for you either, this is a great place for you to be right now. So what I want to cover in the next hour is this. I want to talk about really the one thing that you need to be focused on to really get this weight off and then keep it off so you never actually have to do this again, ultimately. Okay. We're going to talk about how exercise can speed up your metabolism and how we can spend less time exercising to achieve the results that we're looking to see. And I'm going to share with you, of course, I'm a registered dietitian, about how to balance meals so that you can pull these meals together really quickly so you're not spending a ton of time and you're actually feeling satisfied with them as well. Other things, we're going to talk about old diet rules and how to get past those. There's probably a lot of things ingrained in your head about dieting that may not be serving you. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And your dieting rules probably are about just cutting calories, really killing it in workouts. And if this hasn't been working for you so far, evidence is evidence. So there's that. All right, so I'm going to show you the steps that I take with the clients that are in my program so that you can lose technically up to 20 pounds in 3 months. So those are the results that we've been seeing within my 3-month program, which is really awesome. So just because you have a really busy life, you have a lot of obligations, a lot of obstacles that you're facing, doesn't mean that you have to put weight loss on the back burner. These things can happen in and around the life that you already have. You don't need to create something brand new, but you do have to work within the scope of what you already have going on and make something work specifically for yourself. You have to have this strong vision that it is possible to begin with. That is going to be one of our 5 steps that we'll talk about here in a little bit. So over the next hour, if you have anything distracting you, phone, TV, stuff like that on, just try to pay close attention, reduce these distractions so that you can really take this time for yourself. All right. Now, let's see if any of this sounds familiar to you. So no matter how motivated you're feeling, you just feel like you can't really follow through on these long-term goals. Something tends to get in the way. You fall off track, you end up right back where you started. And if you've lost weight and then gained some back, you may have even gained some additional. That's pretty typical. And then you get just tired and you lose interest of the things that you're doing because it's really not fitting in with the life that you have already. It's not feeling like an easy thing to do, and it's not feeling like it's getting you anywhere anyway. And if you just feel like you can't stick to a diet and it's really working on your self-esteem, we can certainly work on that as well. One of the biggest things that the ladies that I work with have a problem with is trying to make separate meals, or having this impression that they need to make different things than their family is making in order to be successful. And I think that's complete opposite of the truth. So figuring out how you can manage your eating habits along with your family's preferences is really a big key to making this all work together. All right. And if you've ever thought, okay, well, maybe I just need a personal trainer, or someone would just do all the cooking for me and all of that, how easy would that be? And a lot of people will say, and I've actually had a few this week in private sessions saying, I just wish I was more disciplined. I wish I could actually stick to that. And that's not really the driver for what your weight loss is. Discipline feels like a negative thing, right? And if you're doing something for the wrong reasons, it's not going to be something that you can sustain, and that's for sure. So I've got these 5 steps here. These goals are not impossible. You just haven't found your solution quite yet, okay? So once you put all of this into place and really make sure that you have all 5 steps running on all cylinders working for you, you're going to know how to balance the meals that you're making so that you can eat the same things as the rest of your family. You don't have to have boiled chicken and broccoli while the rest of your family is enjoying pizza night. That's ridiculous, right? You're also going to know how to take different steps at any stage in your weight loss journey. So one of the big things that I work on in my program is, taking women through the whole lifespan, right? So we may have a few short months together, but what we're also doing is planning to make sure that when they're hitting menopause, when they're even just hitting premenopause, the changes that they're happening, we're actually planning for that so that they can execute that without actually gaining weight. That's a really big problem for a lot of women. We're going to wonder why we wasted so much time with some of these old diet plans that we have in there. And I really hope you feel that way. But ultimately, what I'd like for you to do for today is get excited about making the steps that you need to be taking, that you want to be taking ultimately, but just haven't found a way to actually do that. All right, so we do have 5 steps to losing weight in the next 3 months, which I will share with you. But if you are new to my network and my general knowing me, essentially, let me introduce myself a little bit more. So my name's Jackie Duran. I'm a registered dietitian at JD Nutrition LLC. I've been doing coaching specifically for weight loss for over 5 years. I'm actually entering my 6th year in business coming up in February, so that's exciting. I am a mom of a preschooler, and there's a lot to go into that. Of course, there's lots of volunteer things for school and all these other things pulling me in different directions. And I actually have become a fitness lover, but it's not always been that way. At one point in my life, earlier on, I was in the same boat. I had weight to lose. I was really insecure about it. I was not feeling good about myself. I absolutely hated to exercise. There's nothing I hated more than to move my body and sweat. And I was also dealing with a lot of like binging episodes and going through these things when I was trying to lose weight of, essentially going down to 0 calories and essentially starving. And then I go into these patterns of starving and then giving in and going into these binge eating things. And it took me a lot of years to really figure out what worked for me and put all of this info that I'm going to be sharing with you together so that I don't have to do that anymore. Okay. So without further ado, let's get into our 5 steps. So step number 1, let me tell you, is not dieting. Okay. So step number 1 is really important. And for the ladies in my program, we're really focusing in on this not only at the beginning as we get started, but throughout their program, and to be a reminder to find the reasons why you actually want to lose weight. Okay. So this is very important that these are your specific reasons, not the reason why your doctor wants you to lose weight, not the reason why, concerned family members may want you to lose weight, or anything that you're seeing online of what you feel like you should actually be. So, those may be motivators in some cases, they may be good reasons, and they may be your reasons. But ultimately, if you have not found the internal motivation for why you want to make this change, it's going to be so much harder to follow through on the actions that you need to take to do that. Now, we need to continue stoking that fire as well. So this is not something that you do just once. This is something that you have to be looking at all the time, and really keeping this motivation, this internal motivation going, so that the habits that you're putting into place seem almost easy. Okay. So losing weight, we're not gonna just tailor around this, right? We know that we need a calorie deficit. We know that we have to make lasting changes, and we know that there are no quick fixes. This is going to be something that you're doing over a longer period of time. And if you don't have this internal motivation for more than a week or two at a time, you're going to continue yo-yoing in your weight, and we don't want to see that. And so the hard truth really is you're probably never going to hit your goal weight unless you have this motivation in place and you're taking action on that on a daily basis. Okay. So how do we actually go about doing this? All right. So we need to find a reason to get out of bed and do all the things and make the choices that we know that we need to make. And that really starts with having a clear vision of what it is that you actually want. And then once you have that clear vision, you can then show up consistently, take the actions that you need to take, and do that on a daily basis. And that is really the key to success. So once you do this and you're able to really establish this internal motivation, it's going to make making the healthy choices much easier. So eating balanced foods is going to be something that you're looking forward to. Same thing with exercise. I am key example of this. I found things that I was actually looking forward to in classes that I really liked, that made exercise something that was more enjoyable and stress reducing rather than something I had to do. Okay. And this is all going to help you make more serious progress long term. So yes, it's still going to take you a little bit of time to lose the weight, but it's focusing on those little things every day that just become habit, just the things that you do that ultimately get you there without a whole lot of extra thought. Now, if you don't get this part right, we know what's going to happen, right? So you're not going to be able to maintain these habits long enough. Well, I should say maintain these actions long enough for them to truly become a habit and that thing that you just do a part of your identity. Okay. So you're also going to probably spend a lot of time on these yo-yo diets and these quick fixes, things that you see online, these meal plans that don't really get you anywhere. So, you're not going to get the results anyway, wasting money. We don't want that. And then it's going to be really hard to believe that this is even going to be possible for you for much longer, right? So, if you keep stacking up these dieting failures and you're like, well, clearly the evidence shows that I can't do this, then you're going to be right. We don't want that either. So here's how to do this. So exercise that you can do either now or later, but just take some time to really write down what it is that you actually want. And again, you specifically, not what your doctor is looking to reduce your cholesterol to or any of that. We need your number one reason why you want to do this. And think about things like, how do you want to feel? Like, do you want to be able to move around better? Do you want to be able to go sit on the floor with your kids or go on a roller coaster with your grandkids or stuff like that? What kind of things would you actually like to do, and how would you feel doing that? And initially, as you're getting started, if you're like blank mind, I don't really know, that's okay. Think about what feelings you want to escape from. Sometimes reducing pain or immobility, or the pain of feeling like people are staring at you because you're carrying some extra weight, whatever that happens to be, sometimes escaping from something is a more powerful motivator than something you'd like to gain at early stages in the game. So part of this too is visualizing a better version of yourself. And this is something that we do pretty much weekly in our program. So basically, this is taking time to really solidify a mental picture of who it is that you want to be, down to, physical appearance and things that you're wearing, but also in terms of how you want to feel, things that you have accomplished, how this is affecting other areas of your life to be at a healthier weight, to have better health and all of this as well. Because ultimately, if you're reducing excess weight and you're doing the habit changes that are supporting your good health, you're going to have less issues with things like mobility and blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar issues, that kind of thing too. And now seeing how you're going to feel in this as well. Like, how would you feel having actually reached your goal? What would this new person, this new version of yourself be doing? And then we start looking at things like, okay, well, how did this person get there? How are they maintaining their weight now? What daily habits do you have now that you didn't before? What kind of new goals are you going to be setting? So if you had reached your ideal weight, what's next for you? Are you looking to go back to school, get a more active job? What exactly is it? Why would you actually want to reach that goal weight? What would be different about your life? Okay. All right. So here's where you're probably going to get stuck on this though, is, you may feel motivated to do that exercise as you're watching this video, but this is something that needs to be built over time. Your brain is very comfortable thinking the way it's always thought. And so if you're bringing in these new ideas and really visualizing this version of yourself, it's going to take a lot of repetition to actually drive that home. Okay. So you need to continue stoking that fire that you've built, doing visualizations daily for a while, weekly, to keep that maintained so that you always have that focus on your goals. Okay. So this is going to be things like excuses that come up, obstacles for doing something very simple like this. So what I would suggest is even just taking 5 or 10 minutes a day, as at least initially within the first month as you make this a habit, to sit down, take the time specifically without distractions to work through that same exercise and get more clear each and every time that you do it, building on this picture of yourself, really getting into the pixelated version of what that looks like. So once you have that, then okay, well, this is the person that I'm going to be. It's going to make the action steps that you need to take much more clear and much easier to act on if you know exactly where that's going to get you. So I'll tell you about Lauren. We'll bring her up a couple times. So I began working with Lauren in 2021. I think it was winter, and we put together a basic plan that had like meal ideas, exercise suggestions, and daily things that she could be doing. And she had all the information, right? She was armed with what she thought she needed. But a few months later, she really struggled to actually execute any of it. And this is like so common, right? I think we all know it, like what needs to be done, but doing it is really another thing. So we really started spending a lot of time working on the reasons why she wasn't following through, and it really started to click. We went through a lot of these exercises, and we found what was her motivation, what was her fire. And she was really done just feeling tired at the end of the day after a long day. She didn't feel like I think she was like 30 years old at the time. She didn't feel like after she was done with work that she should just feel so exhausted. And that was just not okay with her. She was tired of shopping at, in her words, the big girl clothing stores. And she was sick of feeling like she was just waiting for her life to start. She was dealing with this fatigue and this insecurity and all of these things. And when she sort of realized that that was the thing for her, that was the motivation that stuck, she was able to start following through on that. And then she ultimately lost about 30 pounds in 6 months. But that was after 3 months of a little bit of listlessness there. Okay. So 30 pounds in about 3 months altogether. So overall, for key number one, if you don't have that strong sense of why, you're probably going to struggle to execute the actions that are required. So let's talk a little bit more about what these actions are. So I told you the key number one was not diet, but key number two is eating well, and very simply. Okay. So like I said before, one of the biggest struggles is feeling like you need to completely overhaul your eating habits and eat different meals than your entire family, which creates a lot of resentment around the plan. So what we can do instead is figure out how to rebalance some of the things that are regular on your roster for cooking, so that you can continue eating those things, but just in a modified sort of way. And this keeps it very simple. Okay. We do need to make sure that your plan long term in terms of eating includes all of the things that you love. So, like I said, not skipping on pizza night, being able to go out to eat, enjoying sweets, especially around the holidays and things like that. They're not off limits. And as soon as you think that they are off limits, you're going to start feeling resentful. You're going to want to crave them more. And it's going to be much harder to adhere to a diet for more than a couple weeks because you are feeling these feelings. Okay. The last part of this is balancing these meals in a way so that you can maintain a calorie deficit that we know we need without feeling starving all the time. All right, doing the cough drop. We'll see how this goes. Okay. So the truth of this is it's going to be impossible to lose weight without changing your diet and cooking for yourself. Unfortunately, we know that something needs to change, but this can be as painless as possible. Okay. So when you do those things and your diet is optimally balanced, it's going to be much easier for you to stay within a calorie deficit. You're probably not even going to notice most of the time. Okay. You're also going to be able to enjoy a ton of variety because you're not cutting out any of the things that you want. You're not limiting to a certain set of 10 foods or anything like that. And you're not spending a ton of time in the kitchen. You're not doing these gourmet meals that someone told you on the internet is like best for weight loss. Well, if it takes me more than 10 minutes to put something together, it's not happening. And I don't expect that to happen for you either. And when you're balancing your foods correctly, like they talk about macros for how you're balancing your protein and your carbs and your fat, which we'll get into here in a second. It's going to be much easier to maintain a good energy level during the day as well. So like that girl Lauren I was telling you about, once we figured out how to give her more consistent energy during the day, she felt better almost immediately. All right. But if you don't do this, you're going to be spending a lot of time prepping and cooking foods that you don't really want to eat anyway. And just playing into that exhausting as well. It's going to be really hard to stay to a calorie goal because you're going to be feeling hungry between meals and you're going to be looking for something else. Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to do. This is a staple image in my program, and we talk about this all the time, and how to balance your plate. And so ultimately what we're looking to do with any sort of meals that we're building is to add in a ton of veggies. So this green section, the non-starchy veggies there, we're aiming for that to be about half of your plate. That action alone helps you to fill up on lower calorie, higher fiber foods that keep you full and focused for longer. And like logistically speaking, leaves less room on your plate for the stuff that contains more calories and maybe you're overeating anyway. Okay. So if you don't learn anything else from today, remember to eat your vegetables. Okay. I'm sure no one's told you that before. Okay. So the second half of the plate, we are still eating carbs, so no worries. You can still include all of your favorite carbs, so starchy veggies, pasta, bread, that kind of stuff. But just notice how much inventory it actually takes up, how much real estate it takes up on your plate. It's about a quarter of the plate at any given meal. And then we want to make sure we're getting enough protein. So the other quarter would be lean proteins, focusing on higher protein, lower fat. So things like chicken breast, ground turkey, even things like pork tenderloin and seafood versus higher fat things like steak, bacon, and that kind of stuff that carries a lot of fat and therefore a ton of extra calories. And like I said, there's no reason to cut them out. I think it's just maintaining, focus on the lean meats that are going to fill you up quite a bit more with a lot more bulk versus the things that you would have to have a smaller quantity of. Okay. So let's see. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say too was, you don't have to come up with brand new structures for your meals for this or come up with recipes. You can simply think about what you're doing now and how you can actually adjust just how you plate it for yourself, right? So pasta night is a big one in our house. So let's say you're making pasta with a meat sauce and you have a salad on there. So we have half of the plate would be the salad with whatever dressing that you want. And then likely what would change would be how much pasta you actually take. So just being vigilant of, how much you actually serve yourself, and then making sure that the meat sauce is in good supply as well. So most people would do quite a bit more pasta, maybe a little bit less on the meat sauce or the meatballs, and then veggies may not even be part of the equation. So just think about how some of the common meals that you make can be adjusted based on this and how that can actually change the outlook of your diet. Okay. So what else we're going to do? We're going to start cooking and thinking about going by meals by what you're actually craving, right? So there's a lot to be said about doing meal planning and, like even planning a week in advance. But just remember that food isn't always about a physical craving. Sometimes it's something mental or emotional, like having a specific meal would really hit the spot. We can't go against that human nature either. So even if you do decide to do some meal planning, so you have some ideas and you have the foods on hand in the house, that's really helpful. But don't be afraid to go off script and like make a grilled cheese with tomato soup. Like that's something that I want to have right now. So you can certainly still do that while keeping that balance in mind as well. So how would that look? That would be maybe doing like a half a grilled cheese instead of using 2 slices of bread. I could use one, or if I'm cooking for the family, split the other half with my daughter. Make sure you got some salad in there. I've always got salad cut up in the fridge as well. And just changing that balance a little bit. Okay. And now when it comes to something like sweets, it's always good to leave a little bit of room for that as well. Sweets can be perfectly fine in moderation, so that you're not missing out on that thing that you're actually craving. There was a dietitian on Instagram that did a video lately of how that progresses when you're craving something sweet. And so if you're dieting or trying to lose weight and you really want ice cream, they say, oh, well, an apple is just as crisp and refreshing, or here's this recipe for this ice cream that is sort of what it is, but not quite the same. And then you go through all these steps of trying to avoid the ice cream to begin with. And just think about how many calories all of those things have. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you still want the ice cream and you probably do have it. And so think about how much time you could have saved by just having the thing that you wanted to begin with. Okay. All right. So thinking where you might get stuck, thinking I already know where healthy eating is supposed to go. I know what it looks like. So I don't need to follow key number 2. Okay. So just think about that. You're going to think that you're not going to take the time to try these new foods and eating patterns. You can certainly stick to what works for you within that balance, but you can also branch out and try some different recipes and new things as well. It's going to be hard to incorporate new foods right off the bat, especially when you've been conditioned to think that sweets are the enemy. So including some of those things in your daily diet may make you feel a little uncomfortable at first, and that's totally normal. And if you're going to get stuck too, if you're acting on this stuff part of the time and not most of the time. Yes, there's wiggle room here and there, but if you cannot get this down to a science and be consistent about this, that yo-yo dieting pattern is going to continue, and we don't want to see that. All right, so that's kind of where I was too. So I was in this yo-yo pattern for a very long time. Initially, I lost about 50 pounds, but each year or so, I would see like a swing of about 15 pounds in any given direction. And then, I'd go into this period of freak out and be like, okay, well, I guess I can't eat anything for a while, right? It's a very common pattern. And it really wasn't until I started making these changes of including the things that I wanted without restricting them for any period of time that I saw that 15-pound swing go to more like 5 pounds either way. I mean, so you're still going to adjust weight a little bit here and there. That's totally fine. But I wasn't constantly either on or off a diet. Um, and I don't need to make any drastic changes when I start seeing that number come up a little bit, because it's happening very slowly, because I am pretty consistent about my habits. And that's what I would like for you too. Okay. So key to number 2, if you want to lose weight and maintain your ideal weight with ease, your diet has to be sustainable, enjoyable, and guilt-free. All right. Exercise has to be part of this too, right? Of course. So we can certainly lose weight in the kitchen alone. Definitely possible. Anything to create a calorie deficit can be really helpful. There are tons of reasons to move your body and exercise that are helpful. We're not going to really get into that today. But we just have to look at this from a whole lifestyle approach. So if you are changing your diet, it really makes sense to make more of an impact by including regular movement into your plan as well. So the key really here is finding things that feel good, things that you look forward to, exercises that tend to curb hunger versus actually increase your hunger cravings, and really make the most of your time. So you don't have to be spending an hour or two in the gym each day. You can be spending 20 to 30 minutes on something daily consistently, which is much more easy to incorporate in your life, and still get the same results. Physique wise, especially, it's going to be pretty much impossible to get the physique that you're looking for without regular exercise and toning and muscle building exercises and things like that. And most likely, it's going to be really difficult to get to your goal weight by just dieting alone. Okay. At some point, including exercise, even if it's not right off the bat, can be a big part of this as well. Creating a calorie deficit is really difficult if you are largely sedentary during the day. So it requires a lot more emphasis on being consistent with your diet if you're not able to move during the day. Okay. And this goes for a lot of people. Most jobs these days, a lot of them are behind a desk. Mine as well. I sit behind a desk and work with you guys virtually all the time. But that means being more conscious and mindful of fitting in exercise when it makes sense. Building lean body mass, of course, requires certain types of exercise, so muscle building exercises and things like that. So the only way to really build that definition and shape is to do these types of exercises. And doing the right types of exercises can actually make sticking to your calorie deficit easier, because it's curbing your hunger hormones a little bit as well. So we know that your body will burn more fat if you have muscle, right? So muscle takes more energy to maintain and to use than fat storage does. So it would make sense to focus on trying to build up this muscle tone, not only for shape reasons and things like that, but just so your body can be burning off a little bit more at rest. It is relatively minimal. However, it still does help with everything in terms of that calorie deficit. I think what's more beneficial, aside from the calorie burn immediately as you're doing the exercise, and those long-term benefits of that muscle toning and the calories that come with that, it's really helping you to maintain the habits that you have, right? So you get this boost of dopamine, your energy level tends to increase unless you're like exercising for 3 hours and then you're going to be tired. But if you're doing, going out for a quick half-hour walk or something like that, you typically feel energized, and it feels like a motivator for continuing to make good choices, right? So, with the right types of exercises, you're going to have that. And if you're not overdoing it with things like cardio and really extreme exercises, the exercise can actually make you feel less hungry for a period of time after, which can be really helpful. So the key is really choosing the right exercises here. So if you're doing extreme cardio classes, you're doing really long term. So, over like 60 minutes, doing a 90-minute, 120-minute class every single day, your body is going to start questioning whether or not you're going to live, essentially. And so it tends to have you seek out more food to maintain or to recover the calories that you're burning during those periods too. If you're overdoing it and you're going too hard, too fast, especially when it comes to muscle building, you're gonna not be able to recover well. You're gonna feel so sore, so tired, and you're really not gonna want to do it ever again, right? So starting where you are is really important as well to help build up that stamina. And then, if that is the case and you're feeling really sore and unmotivated to do it, it's going to really hard to be consistent about that enough to actually help you lose weight. Okay. Excuse me. So how do we do this? Okay. So really the key to any starting point here is choosing the consistency aspect of this first. So figuring out where you are, what you can do, and how you can be consistent about that is step one. So even if that means you can only do a 5-minute walk every day, that's the only thing that fits in your schedule physically, if that's all you can handle, okay, that's perfect. So whatever you can do consistently every single day is where you need to begin. Okay. Ideally, you're choosing things that don't feel like work. So walking can be a really great start for many people. We're usually doing some of this during the day anyway, so it's not a huge stretch. And making sure that you're not overworking yourself and quitting very shortly after you're doing this. Okay. When it comes to more planned exercises, like if you're doing classes and things like that, choosing a variety. So like the spin class that you did 3 times this week doesn't seem like really boring anymore. So you can do something different and really play to the mood level that you're in on any given day. We want to talk quickly about how hormones change this a little bit as well. So especially I work specifically with women, we're looking at different stages of life. So a younger woman, 20 to 35, can really manage to do high intensity cardio and really do pretty much unlimited in terms of strength training and things like that. But as your hormones start to change and things fluctuate a little bit, your body is more apt to go lighter on cardio and respond more in terms of weight loss with weight training. So again, we're focusing on this muscle building and maintaining muscle. We lose about, 10%. Don't quote me on this because I think I'm wrong. It's something like 10% every 10 years of muscle mass that you end up losing. And so your body is pulling away from more of this physical activity, spending more energy elsewhere, and lowering your base metabolic rate because your muscle is coming down. So we really focus on doing weight training and flexibility training, strength training, and that kind of stuff the older you get to help you maintain that lean muscle mass. And of course, flexibility, balance, and that kind of stuff is always great as we age as well. So don't think that your life stage doesn't play into that as well. All right, so we're looking for consistency and we are trying to make this a routine. So the goal here is really to make something that's really easy for you to follow and something that is creating some sort of accountability in here. So we're talking like planning this out, having numbers matched to this is really helpful. Just saying you're going to exercise more isn't helpful. It doesn't give you a task to do, which is what your brain thrives on. So you could do something like aiming for some sort of either exercise class that you're signing up for a few days a week, or even just scheduling like 3 to 4 times on the calendar where you can do a quick walk or something like that. And like I said, this can really be 5 minutes if you feel like that's what you need to start with. We also want to think about just reducing the sedentary time. So give myself as an example. I can, if I'm working and I really get in the zone, I could be sitting for 3 hours at a clip and not really realize what I'm doing. And what is that getting me? Nothing. It's actually creating a lot of problems, right? So if you can fit in shorter exercise breaks during the day and be more mindful about how much you're sitting, this can make a big difference as well. And this could be just getting up for a quick stretch and all of that, or it could be something more intentional, like going for a 5 to 15 minute walk in between. And this is something that you can put in the calendar as well. And if you have something like a Fitbit or an Apple Watch, there are often reminders that, like, my watch buzzes me when I've been sitting for more than an hour or something like that. So it just can prompt that along for you as well. And then part of your routine should be checking in to see where you've gotten. Okay. So I suggest monthly, if you can assess and set up some different goals for yourself. That's going to help you keep it interesting. It's also going to help you increase your physical stamina as you go as well. So if that walk is just, part of your routine, which is fabulous, maybe it's just increasing the speed or picking a route that has some more hills and things like that. Those are good ways to up the intensity, set new goals for yourself, and continue pushing. Because that's really going to keep you interested and motivated to keep this going too. All right. Where are we going to encounter issues with this? Inconsistency, always. That's number one with all of this, right? And sustainability is part of this as well. So doing things that you like, things that fit well into your schedule. The other things that make you stuck is assuming that cardio is all that you need, right? If you're spending an hour running or on the treadmill or whatever, this is actually going to increase your hunger levels quite a bit as well. So you may find it harder to stick to your calorie deficit on the back end, even though you're burning more calories. Okay. So think about things that incorporate variety and do more than just work your heart. All right. Let's talk about Sherry. So Sherry is the example of this essentially. Like many women, she had done dieting before. This is typical. She lost baby weight after both her children, but she quickly gained about 10 pounds as she started to approach menopause. Once again, this is very normal. You could go about your daily life, not changing anything. Menopause comes along and you gain weight. That is unfortunately just what happens. Okay. So after this happened, she gained about 10 pounds. She tried for a couple of years to lose weight before she ran into me. And she would really spend a lot of time doing that cardio. So she figured that, doing 60 minutes on the treadmill or the elliptical every day was going to be what she needed. And she couldn't understand why on her Friday weigh-ins, she was exactly the same week to week. She just felt like she was killing herself on the treadmill. So what we did to adjust her exercise routine first is make sure that she could be consistent, because she was getting really tired of cardio and she just really dreaded doing it. So we worked in some other things, kept her interested by lightening up the cardio routine. So we cut that back to about, I think, 15 to 20 minutes initially. And then we added some time in with a personal trainer. So she would do strength training. She chose to do personal trainer because she wasn't really versed in strength training at all. And so that was definitely a great move for her. But if you have any experience with that, even just making sure that you can split your time that you have with a mix of the cardio and the weight training was really helpful for a lot of other clients that I have as well. So she was able then to get down to her pre-baby weight. And what's better about that is she was in a better body composition as well. So she was down below her pre-baby weight, but she also had less body fat and she had more muscle mass as well. So she was thrilled with that as well. So I think that took her about a year or so in total to complete. But what she did is she lost the 10 pounds, she got where she wanted to be, but she also built this lifestyle that she didn't want to escape from as well. She started to really look forward to her training. And she's setting new goals for herself as well. So with her trainer, they're working on different ways to improve and some things as well. So she really looks forward to those visits. All right. So the goal to key number 3, maintaining something consistent that you can actually like and look forward to. And it becomes really just something that you do every day, part of that identity. All right. Key number 4, building confidence, right? So all of this is great, but if you don't really know how to go about any of this, it's going to be really difficult to follow through on any of this, right? So there's really a strategy behind knowing that the plan that you're following, diet, exercise, whatever else we're working on, is going to be effective, right? So if you had all sorts of diet failures go on in the past and you just have this affinity for feeling like you're going to fail, that is going to make you fail, right? So you're not trusting that your efforts are going to pay off, and you have to stay consistent with your, not only that trust and that confidence, so that you can build those eating and exercise habits that match your ideal self. So you have to throw away some of these old diet rules. This is where we're going to really tackle this, and trust that the plan that you put in place is going to give you the results. And part of that plan is not just blindly following a meal plan or exercise plan. It is being accountable and being vigilant of how the changes that you've made are affecting you, and making plans to adjust things when necessary. That's 100% part of the process. Excuse me. And so that's one of the big things that is the basis of the program, the 3-month program that I run is, we're going through the same types of learning patterns, and we're fitting different things into our life. We're adding in exercise. We're talking about hydration and diet patterns and things like that. But everyone's doing things a little bit differently based on what's actually working for them. We're all very individual. And so for you to have a cookie cutter plan that you just follow blindly until it doesn't work for you anymore, doesn't work, right? You have to be able to adjust and be vigilant about how those changes are going to be made as you go through this to begin with. All right, so if you build this confidence and you trust that, you're going to trust that the plan that you're following is going to help you. And therefore you will be more willing to stick to it. You're going to be able to push past the excuses, push past obstacles like a really bad Friday weigh-in. Okay, these things happen, but you ultimately know that the things that you're doing every day are helpful, they're beneficial, and so you continue doing them anyway. And so with these simple actions, you're not making drastic life changes, you're just doing the things that you need to do every day. You're going to reach that goal weight eventually. You have to. If you're doing the right things, then you absolutely will. And then you're going to be able to embrace the changes and do what's necessary for success, right? So if you know that 1 or 2 things that you implement initially are really working for you and you love them, then you keep that and you throw away whatever else it is. But you gain this confidence knowing that I'm okay with changing something, because part of the plan is changing what isn't working, and that is always true. So even if you have clicked yes on this Zoom meeting, you're probably questioning whether your current plan or your current state of mind is going to help you reach your goal. Probably wouldn't be here otherwise. So you probably always feel guilty too about the foods that you think you shouldn't be including. And you may not think that even losing weight or maintaining your weight is even possible right now. And that's totally fine. There's a lot of people that start there. So how do we build this confidence in your plan? Okay. Part of that comes with having a very clear plan of action, and going back to key number 1, having that clear goal in mind and really being able to visualize what that is. So you need to know at the beginning, as soon as you wake up, the steps that you need to take in order to succeed. And that includes whatever you're planning for food or how you're going to balance your meals. It is incorporating that exercise. It is stress management. It is making sure you're getting to bed on time, all of these other things that come together. But you know that you have a successful, clear path that will happen. So I'm a huge fan of to-do lists so that you can get that mental boost by just checking something off. That is a really big one. And then we just have to give it time too. So you can't always trust that something is working without evidence, right? So as you follow, you kind of have to do this blindly to begin with. Just follow the checklist and keep an open mind. You're like just saying, okay, I don't know if these things are going to work, but I'm going to give it a try for a little while. We're going to check all these things off. We're going to see if I can be consistent. And if it doesn't work, then we'll change the plan. And when it does work, it helps you build that confidence so that you can continue doing those things and building up those positive associations with doing those things. All right, we're going to talk about Lauren again. So as I said, she had this sort of introductory period of about 3 months where she just couldn't find the reason to do it. She was doubting everything that she was putting into place. She just felt like, all right, these are things that I've tried before. It's probably not going to work this time. And that is just not the right attitude. So it took a little while to get that into place. But when she really started putting the plan into place and just trusting that, okay, maybe it'll work. And if not, then we will start changing the plan. She was really able to start seeing how those little things each day were affecting her. She was so skeptical. She's like, how can just, changing the breakfast thing that I'm having make any sort of difference in the grand scheme of things? Tell you what, makes a huge difference. It's about these little things every single day. So over time, she started to see like, okay, all of this stuff really adds up to seeing some progress on the scale, which is awesome. And that really just drove her to move that process along faster because she saw that it was working. She was confident that it would continue working. And she was confident that she knew how to change things, how to adjust things because we were working together. If and when you hit a weight loss plateau. Okay. So a well-planned strategy is going to help you eliminate this self-doubt. And again, it has to be a little bit blind trust to believe, but as you build that confidence, you can and will reach the goals that you're setting. All right, now key number 5. So working with a coach and having this sustainability through support is a really big piece of this puzzle as well. So very in short, you don't know what you don't know. So, anytime you're learning something new or making changes, you're going to have blind spots, right? You don't know exactly what's coming down the road. You don't know how to deal with it quite yet. There may be something going on that you don't even recognize as a problem yet. Okay. And that has happened to me a number of times, in business, in physical aspects, and all of these other things in my life. And I know that is actually true. Okay. So having someone to be the sounding board for ideas that you have, someone to be able to look at your case and the bigger picture surrounding it, because you have these blinders on, you can't see it yourself. You're looking here while a coach is looking out here. Okay. And that's going to help you reach your goal faster because you're identifying problems, you're problem solving, and you're dealing with it rather than being completely unaware. Okay. So you can leverage that time and expertise of somebody else, especially a professional, to help you reach that goal a little bit faster. And of course, there's motivation and support going on there as well. So that's going to help you to not only stay accountable, which is a big piece of this too, but really to help you push further and to search for more and not just say, okay, this is good enough. Look at this person. They're doing this, that, and the other thing, and I can do that too. We are creatures of social support. And so making use of that is really beneficial in terms of weight loss. All right. I'm going to make a bold statement and say that really nobody has ever lost and maintained their weight consistently by themselves, right? There's always some sort of external force that is helping them along the way. And that can be by means of a coach, that can be even subscribing to certain Instagram channels, Facebook channels that are inspiring, lots of different ways to include other people in this process so that you can continue with this success. So ultimately, you need someone that can help you with the obstacles that you're facing and help you work with maintaining your weight through the holidays or setting new goals for how to manage like holiday parties and things like that. That's now essentially, and then December, this is a big one for us. We also want to maintain that accountability within the plan as well. So knowing like, okay, this is on your checklist for today. Did I or did I not actually follow through on this? And we celebrate a lot of wins as well. So I think one big thing that people don't do is celebrate even the small things that they're accomplishing and really building up that motivation to continue because they are celebrating that. All right, let's see. So talking about mentorship and things like that, having a good mentor is going to help to light up the pathway. They're going to offer the guidance. They're going to get you the information that you need. They're going to help you with accountability, and that's great. But a great mentor is there to help really inspire you when You know, you have all of these plans in place, you have the right information, but you're just not able to do it for whatever reason. And, you're just bogged down with life, and having someone there to just remind you that you can do this. It's okay. We all get in these situations, and really just to help you lift out of that situation when you feel that way is really a vital thing. So if you try to go and do this by yourself for weight loss, you may have some limited success in here, but the likelihood, just based on studies from what we've seen is, you may lose a little weight initially, but it's going to creep back up. You may actually gain some back as well. You're going to continue wasting time and money, right? You're going to be guessing about how you're going to get the results. You're going to start buying cookie cutter meal plans that aren't really getting you anywhere past a week or two. And it's going to just kill your confidence, honestly. All these dieting failures that stack up just continually give you evidence like this is never going to happen, right? So, we don't want to get back into that negative cycle. And you may end up giving up altogether, right? It just seems like, okay, this is never going to happen. So why am I even bothering here? All right. So without a coach or a mentor or some sort of external force helping to push you along the way, unfortunately, you're probably going to continue to waste time, money, and your mental resources on this as well. And likely you're probably not going to hit your goal anyway. All right, so that was number 5. So let's just recap where we've been today. So today I promised to show you the one thing that's going to allow you to lose weight and keep it off. And that thing is sustainability, right? So everything we've talked about has been, just inching your goals forward. That is, replating meals so they are in a better balance. That is including things that you like so that long term, you're able to follow whatever meal pattern this is that you're choosing every day. And that includes eating a Christmas cookie once in a while and all that. It's creating sustainability in your exercise habits and getting more movement in every single day. I'm not asking you to do like an exercise routine that you only follow for a few weeks and then that's it. All right. We're talking about sustainability long term. We did talk about ways to fit in exercise and speed up your metabolism. So that is one, building that consistency in there, because that's the only way to really make use of this is to be doing something daily, weekly, over time. Okay. Other things that you can do is focus on strength and weight training and that kind of thing, so that you're speeding up your metabolism, you're actually changing your body composition. And then you can be spending less time doing that kind of stuff versus spending hours on the treadmill at the gym anyway. All right. And we did talk about balancing meals as well, so that you can continue making the same things that are quick and easy, that is just autopilot, but you're making it in a way that suits your needs to help you stay within that calorie deficit as well. So these are our 5 things that we need to succeed. We need that motivation. Of course, we need to focus on diet and exercise as well, but we need a confident plan and we need the support to follow through on that. So if you are able to actively put in place and consistently these 5 things, you're going to be able to hit that goal weight, right? So I talk about the goal within our program to reach is 20 pounds in 3 months. There are some higher, some lower, and that's, the really depends on where you're starting a lot of the time as well. You're also going to have the freedom to eat whatever you want as you start to lose weight as well, which is a really big ticket win on this, right? So most diets that you start, you'd say, okay, this is all you can eat for 3 months. Okay, no, that's not going to work. What we're developing here is the sense of freedom so that after the 3 months is over, you can actually continue this and willingly continue. You're going to have more energy, right? So this is something that my program ladies see like immediately within a week or two of changing diet, changing exercise, and really balancing these things out. The energy to get through the day, the energy to be present and active with family, friends, kids, etc., is a really big win. And that is regardless of whether you lose any weight or not. And then, my goal as a person and as a provider is to really make sure that you don't ever have to diet again. You're doing the things that you need to do. You're putting in place the habits that you need to make. You're making a lifestyle change that is not something you're going to just be on or off at any given time. And so now you have a chance to choose here. You can continue doing the same thing that you've been doing. You can diet on and off. You can avoid carbs. You can do whatever you've been doing. And then you can get the same results, or you can find a new way to look at this, a new approach, really focus in on these 5 keys, stop wasting time on things that don't work, get down to the nitty-gritty of the things that do, and see the results that you've been looking for. So no doubt you knew this was coming, so I can support you here as well. And so we've talked about these 5 keys and how this surrounds the program that I have. But what I'd like to offer you today is a 30-minute call. And what we can do is go through what you're doing now, go through your current action plan. Remember what we talked about? I can help you see these blind spots that you may not be noticing. We can pinpoint where you can potentially go from there and see what your plan for the next few months could be, and really make sure that that is a very clear, actionable plan. Okay. And if it does seem like a fit, I can invite you in to be one of the 12-week program clients that I'm going to be enrolling into the new year. Certainly don't have to start this over the holidays. If you want to just decompress a little bit, I totally understand that too. But I will say I did have a couple ladies that started the beginning of December, right after Thanksgiving. And they're just doing awesome, right? And they're getting through the holidays and they're not giving up anything. They've gone through some holiday parties and things like that already. And they're really gaining that confidence that we're talking about in those keys to continue. And if you can get through this hardest part of the year, then you can really make it through any season as well. Excuse me. All right, losing my voice. Okay, so if you are here live, I'm gonna just stick a link in the chat here and you'll get it in your follow-up emails as well if you're watching this on replay. So you can go in and book your session there if you would like. This is of course complimentary. So if you are really seriously committed to getting some work done and really diving into these 5 keys and really making sure that you're doing this right, this can be a really great opportunity for you. If you've really struggled with that confidence and you've struggled to lose weight in the past, this can be a great opportunity. You've never found anything that stuck. So, got to try something different. Look at this from a different angle. Okay. Or maybe you've gained weight for the first time. I feel like that's less common, but if this is your first weight loss adventure and you're really looking to just do this holistically and make sure that your lifestyle is in check for what you want to maintain weight wise, this is a good time to include this holistic training here as well. If you are looking for someone to do the work for you and just make you a meal plan, that is not how I roll. Okay. So if you're interested more in the quick fixes and things that are just going to be a temporary solution for you, we're talking total lifestyle transformation here. So that is the type of person that I'm looking for this program. I feel like it's kind of obvious at this point why I'm doing this. So I have struggled before. It has become my goal and my duty as a dietitian and as someone who has struggled with this lifelong to make sure that I am helping other people along on this journey as well. I want you to feel confident. I want you to achieve and celebrate the goals that you have. And I want to be a part of that, honestly. And so what we would do here is, if you allow me to support you in this role and be your mentor, really, we're going to be going through these 5 keys. We're going to be digging deep into these so that you can put these into place in your daily life. And you're really going to start seeing these results quickly. So like I was saying, the energy level you see happen first. And that is really as soon as you're starting to make some changes in your eating habits and things like that. But usually you're seeing results on the scale. Even if you fluctuate a little bit in the first week or two, you're down a few pounds within the first few weeks. And that helps you gain the confidence that you're looking for as well. And of course, I think the biggest thing that I offer is the support and the guidance and the feedback. So you're not figuring it out all by yourself. Excuse me. Okay, so once again, your invitation for the free discovery call, the 30-minute call, is in the chat or in the email that you receive afterwards. So feel free to book that at your leisure. And just want to leave you with this here. So thanks again for spending this hour with me. I know I went a couple minutes over, but that's okay. But I hope you have a better idea of exactly what you need to successfully lose weight. As you can see, it's more than just a diet plan. It's more than just exercising your tail off. It's about this holistic picture of everything encompassed here as well. So this quote here, do something today that your future self will thank you for. I actually have up on my wall, and I've had it there since I started my business almost 6 years ago. And it's something I look at every day. And so I hope that it's impactful for you as well. But that is it for today. So thank you for spending the time. And hopefully we will see you on my calendar for your 30-minute call very soon.